Howdy y'all, welcome to Nerd Studio. We're up in the gun room today, going to take a look at the internals of my Gen 5 Glock 19. Stay tuned. I'm in the middle of doing a few videos on the Gen 5 Glock 19 I picked up. And I woke up this morning going to film one. 7 degrees outside. Man, you move to the south thinking, hey, it's going to be hot. It's going to be warm all the time. Not in the winter. So 7 degrees sounded like a really good day to stay up in the gun room and talk about the internals of this pistol. You know, I expected, it's a Glock, so I expected it to feel like a Glock, look like a Glock. But the book on what they did internally to this gun was basically to take the design of the Glock 43 and transfer it over to their Gen 5 guns. And I have taken a peek inside, and that's essentially what we're going to see. So let's take a look. It breaks down, of course, like any other Glock. There you go, your field stripped. Alright, let me get a Gen 4 19 and we'll compare it. Alright, so I'm going to set these aside so that I don't get the parts mixed up, because I don't really know what's interchangeable and what isn't. Alright, so there's your Gen 4. This was my probably my most carried gun. And so let's set the frame side by side and take a look there. Keep the camera zoomed in. So you can see the difference here. This is the Gen 5. Yeah, I'm not sure what that part is actually called. It's a polymer piece. That's not on the Gen 4 gun. My understanding is this matches more the Glock 43. So that's obviously different. This actually has the same part number on it, so 30274, that looks identical. You notice that you've got on the Gen 4 gun, the nub here is not there on the Gen 5. And I think there were complaints, this is your safety disconnect, there were complaints about that nub. I can't remember exactly what they were, but people were filing that thing off. And so they've deleted it here in the Gen 5 gun. The slide rails look essentially the same. Of course, the Gen 4 is a 2-pin takedown to remove the trigger, where the Gen 5 is a 1-pin. Sorry, the triggers basically take all the guts out of the frame. The Gen 5 has gone back to a single pin. Maybe some of you out there can tell me what you know the benefits of that to be, other than simplicity. This is the way the Gen 2 was. The Gen 2 was a single pin. In fact, the Gen 5 really does harken back to that Gen 2 gun. We had one out here in the last video. I think it was the last video or 2 videos ago. Ricky Moorfield brought his Gen 2 gun out. So obviously the other thing you've got here is you've got an ambidextrous slide release or slide lock on the Gen 5 gun, where you're on the Gen 4. It's righty. The triggers and the magazine release look essentially, no, wait. So the Gen 4 gun has this ribbing here on the trigger, where the Gen 5 gun does not. So this is Gen 5 is on the right side here. That's a close-up view of the frame. Alright, Gen 5 up here, and Gen 4 to my left. Alright, let's see. Let's look at the recoil springs. Woo. There you go. That looks pretty well identical to me. Gen 5 in my right hand. The barrels. We know the barrels are different. You can tell this is Gen 5 in my right hand. You can tell the crown is cut differently with the Gen 5. I wish I could get in there and really look at the rifling. I'll see if I can get a photograph of it. So the barrels are definitely different. I would not think they would be interchangeable, but maybe they are. I'm not a materials expert, so I mean, they appear to really be shaped the same way. The only outward difference that I can really see is how the cut here is different. Darn camera to focus for me. Okay, so that's the barrel comparison. Last up, just in the straight breakdown in the field strip, are the slides. Now we know the slides are different. We know that the barrel or the nose of them are cut different. The Gen 5 has this scalping here, presumably to help it slip into your holster better, but it might actually remove a little bit of weight. This is the Gen 4, the Gen 5. Although I don't know how much. I could probably put it on a scale and tell you, but maybe we'll do that, and I'll put the difference here on the screen. I did swap. These are the True Glow, not True Glow, the Trijicon HD sights. I swapped them off my Gen 4 and took the Gen 5 came with the Glock factory night sights, the model I bought. So I moved them over to my Gen 4 slide. So the sorry, the sight cuts are identical. Again, Gen 5 in my right hand. So this is where I really spot the similarity to, let me get something to point with here. Punches. The similarity to the Glock 43 is the safety here has this beveled edge, just like the 43 did. We can see that's kind of this Gen 4 is the standard round plunger. The slide, of course, has for the slide stop, the ambidextrous slide stop, you've got cuts on both sides here, where the Gen 4 gun does not. Alright, now to the part where I can really screw this up. Let's pull the striker assembly out of there. This is actually the first time I pulled this apart on the Gen 5 gun, so. it goes. All right. So yeah, that does look very much like an enlarged Glock 43 plunger. It's got the same profile. The Striker, not seeing much of a difference there. Get some gunk off this. I have shot this probably, already got 500 or 600 rounds through it. So the Striker should focus there. Looks pretty focused. Striker assembly looks pretty much the same. I'm not going to tear it down any further than that. That looks a little bit different. I could be wrong, but let me pull the Gen 4 apart and just sort of look at that. No, they're identical. Gen 4 Striker. Yeah, the Striker is shaped differently. Gen 5 in my right hand. So I would say those aren't interchangeable. There's the back plates. Gen 5 in my right hand. Yeah, they're different. Whoa, come on, focus there. Definitely different. Right here. And I expect the rest of the related parts here to be different, just because of how different the slide is and how different this plunger is. Well, there you go. I think there are some significant differences. Oh, the one thing we didn't look at was the mag wells. So that is a big change. Gen 5 in my right hand. The mag well is definitely flared on the Gen 5 gun. You can see it here, hopefully. Yeah, there's a good look. You can see that shiny part right here. So the mag well's flared. Also, you've got that sort of Gen 2 cut here. And of course, the removal of the finger grooves, the grippy grooves, which is fine by me. I didn't really ever like them. So yeah, significant differences in the frame there. I think my favorite change in this gun is going to be the removal of the finger grooves. In the Gen 4, you know, I think particularly with people with larger hands, didn't like what it was doing to their fingers. It forces them to go in a particular position. For me, the way my fingers fit on here, I had to get Glenn to remove some of the meat out from under the trigger guard here so that I get my finger around and get the correct position on the trigger. The trigger or the grip on this guy lets me get around just fine. I don't think I'm going to need to make that modification, which is pretty cool. I don't like cutting on my guns. The trigger on this guy is about 5.5 pounds. I just sort of did, I've got one of these, a cheapo measuring sticks, but I think 5.5 pounds is a pretty good guess. I think I did it 4 or 5 times, came out probably an average 5.5 pounds. It feels really crisp with a good, standard Glock reset. I don't even think I'm going to need to do anything to the trigger. I don't see any need to. The gun shoots great. I'm digging it. We'll see. Put another 1,000 rounds through it, see how it feels, and see if it really warrants any enhancements. All right, that's the internals on the Gen 5 19. Forgive me if I transposed the 4 and 5 a couple of times in this video. It gets sort of confusing and I can't keep track of it. Anyway, looks good. What else? Hey, before I go, February, if you're a voting member of the NRA, you're going to see ballots come out. And if you haven't watched the video I did on Adam Kraut, go back and watch that. Adam Kraut is going to be on the ballot this year for board of directors for the NRA. I think we need a big overhaul, and I think Adam can spearhead that effort. So really encourage you to, if you're a voting member, to send that ballot in. And I'm going to be doing I'm just going to vote for Adam. That's the only mark I'm putting on the thing, and I'm sending it in. I want to see some changes, and I think he's the guy to do it. All right, folks, there you go. The internals of the Glock 19, a little plug for Adam Kraut. Always remember, anyone can shoot. Anyone can shoot and have fun. We'll see you next time.